Yes, Purna, I am audible to you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Yes, have you completed the NTPC section? PSU.
Yes,
Yes, let me start first of all basic introduce yourself.
okay. Good morning, sir. Sir, I am Purnima Singh. I was born in Kolkata, West Bengal. I have completed my master's in chemistry from IIT Kanpur, where I received the Academic Excellence Award for a good academic record. After that, I joined Physics Wala Institute, where I served for 2 years as a chemistry faculty. I got a certificate of appreciation for my hard work and outstanding performance there. And apart from this, apart from my academics, I enjoy listening music and dancing. Sir, I have a question.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, one of my friends is working in NTPC, so he tell me to make the introduction short and concise, so that in a like online interview they do not get
Yes, yes,
like.
only. Okay, online interview, only introduction. Your last qualification is MSc. Yes, they will ask you,
It,
will tell them, I have done MSc from XYZ. Bas. Only short
okay,
intro.
sir.
Yes, because
Okay, sir.
online interview. No? Yes. Next, move on. Other sections we have already completed. Next, move on your native place. Yes. How do you feel about your district and state?
Sir, I am, as I told you, that I am from Kolkata, West Bengal. Sir, talking about Kolkata, then sir, it is a very important place. Not only with respect to West Bengal, but also with respect to India as well, because its importance is hidden in the sense that it is the capital of British India till 1911. So it shows that how important Kolkata is due to its strategic location as a natural port and its rich culture and history. Uh, Sir, Kolkata is a economically, politically, and culturally very important for West Bengal. It drives the economy of the state via port-based trade or through IT hubs, service sector, and industries like petrochemical industry, steel industry, jute industry. Along with this, Kolkata is the place where the first High Court of India has been established, and also it is the place of Bengal Renaissance and reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Rai, then Swami Vivekanand, and the freedom fighters like Subhash Chandra Bose, Shahid Khudiram Bose, Amartya Sen, etc. And it is also the place of the world famous Durga Puja, which is recognized by UNESCO itself, which makes it not only historically but culturally important for India. Even Kolkata is known as the cultural capital of India due to its rich culture and heritage. We know that the world, one of the best poet, uh, Sir Rabindranath Tagore ji is from Kolkata, West Bengal. So all these things makes Kolkata a very important district of India, not only in respect of economy or quality, but also with uh, the historical and cultural significance.
Yes, good. Yeah, next, move on the laboratory part, lab. Yes, what are the basic application of lab?
The laboratory is a specialized place highly equipped with the required instrument so that it can provide a natural condition for experiments to the students or whether it is a scientist or researcher. It makes the research environment safe and highly precise.
Yes, good. Next, what are the safety rules for laboratory? How many safety
Sir,
rules?
first of all, when we entered the laboratory, we should make sure that we should wear a gloves and lab coat, and we should cover our feet completely so that we can avoid any incident or accident. And while handling chemicals, we should give more focus on the chemicals so that we avoid any mishandling of the chemicals and any accident. And also, while doing experiment, we should maintain the proper condition of the experiment, whether it is temperature, pressure, or the concentration of different reactant. We should take care of this. And one of the major instruction while doing some chemical experiment is to whether when you smell something or any chemicals, you should not directly smell the chemicals. Rather, you should take the smell with the help of your hand, which help you to stay aware or stay away from the poisonous gases. So these are some basic instruction and the safety rules we should follow while entering into a laboratory.
Yes, which type of equipment apparatus required for laboratory?
What, sir?
Which type of equipment apparatus instrument used in laboratory? Basic only.
Sir,
We need.
during my time in chemistry, I used many instruments like I used HPLC, chromatography, column chromatography, TLC. Then I use UV spectroscopy, pH metry, conductometry. Then talking about apparatus, I have used round bottom flask, conical flask, volumetric flask, then beaker, test tube, and pipette, etc.
Yes. First is suppose if you get unknown organic mixture, yes. So how to
Yes.
identify the color, order, cations, anions, acid base in a lab?
Sir, for order, we should take the smell with the help of our hand so that we can get the order of the sample. And for color, normally it is visible in naked eyes. But if it is not visible, we should take a small amount of the sample on the watch glass, and then we should spread the sample and try to observe the color. And for determining cations and ions or different functional groups, we have different type of experiment. Like for sodium, we have a frame test. For chlorine, we have AgCl test. And for functional group, we have tolerance reagent. For aldehyde, we have ferrichloride for phenol group. So there are different type of experiment for different cations, anions, or functional groups.
Yes, good. Next one is basic is what the basic difference qualitative and quantitative analysis.
Sir, both comes under analytical chemistry. In qualitative analysis, we are more concerned about what element is present in our given sample, whereas in a quantitative analysis, we are more concerned about how much elements are present in our given sample. So in short, in qualitative analysis, we are more concerned about elemental analysis, that which elements are present. On the other hand, in quantitative analysis, we are more concerned about gravimetry or weight of the element present in the sample.
Yes. First is a qualitative analysis. Qualitative analysis, two basic things: elemental analysis and functional group. So how to
Yes.
identify the element, nitrogen, sulfur, halogen, carbon in a lab?
Sir, to identify carbon and hydrogen, we use Liebig's method, where we convert carbon into CO2 and then we pass the evolved gas through a solution of calcium carbonate. if there is a not calcium carbonate, sir, we pass the evolved gas through a solution of calcium hydroxide, and if we observe a white precipitate, then we can confirm that the gas evolved is carbon dioxide, and from this we can conclude that our sample contains carbon, and the hydrogen is converted into water, and this vapor is passed through copper sulfate, anhydrous copper sulfate sample. If the copper sulfate changes from colorless to blue color, then we can conclude that we have water in the vapor, and it confirms the presence of hydrogen in our sample. Now coming to nitrogen, sulfur, and halogens, then to detect all these elements, we use Rasayan test, where we take a small amount of sample and the sodium metal and fuse them together till red hot. And once it becomes red hot, we transfer the fuse mass in water and make a solution, which is known as sodium fusion extract or fusion extract. Now, from this fusion extract, we do some different experiment. For example, for nitrogen estimation, we add ferrous sulfate and concentrated H2SO4 in the solution. If we get a Prussian blue color, we confirm the presence of nitrogen in the sample. For sulfur, we add sodium nitroprusside. If we get a violet color, then we confirm the presence of sulfur in our sample. And for halogens, we use silver nitrate. If upon the addition of silver nitrate, we get this white precipitate, then we confirm the presence of AgCl, or we can say chloride ion, in our sample. If we get a pale yellow precipitate, then we confirm the presence of AgBr, that means bromine, in our given sample. And if we get a deep yellow precipitate, then we confirm the presence of iodine ion in our given sample.
Yes, good. Next is Lassagne solution. First we have Lassagne solution. How to prepare, make it a Lassagne solution, sodium acetate solution?
Sir, to prepare Rasayan solution, we take a small amount of the sample and then we add a small piece of sodium metal and then fuse them together in fire and in flame, and till the test tube becomes red hot. Once the test tube becomes red hot, we transfer the fuse mass into water, and then we filter the prepared solution, and the filtrate is called sodium fusion extract.
Yes, good. Next, move on functional group. What is functional group? How to identify functional group? Carbohydrate, aldehyde, ketone, acid,
Sir,
alcohol, phenol.
The functional groups are those groups which impart some characteristic on a hydrocarbon. For example, if we have C double bond OH group attaching to a hydrocarbon, then the hydrocarbon will show some acidic character, and hence the C double bond OH group is called carboxylic acid group. Similarly, if we have NH2 group with our hydrocarbon, then it will show some basic character, and hence we can say that NH2 is a basic amine group. So these are functional groups which impose some characteristic phenomenon on the normal hydrocarbon. Now, to identify ketone, we have Brady's reagent, which gives a orange color on addition of the Brady reagent. And for aldehyde, we have different reagents like Tollens reagent, Benedict reagent. Then we have ferric solution to identify aldehyde. For phenol, we have ferric chloride test, where we get a violet color observation, and the appearance of violet color confirm the presence of a phenol in the sample. And for carboxylic acid, we have esterification, or we can also do if we add sodium bicarbonate in carboxylic acid, then we get effervescence of CO2 gas, and it also confirms the presence of carboxylic acid. And what is other group, sir?
Other alcohol, phenol, amide,
That for
amine.
alcohol, we have Lucas test, where we use anhydrous Cl2 and concentrated HCl as a reagent. It is an identification test for alcohol, as well as it can differentiate between 3 degree, 2 degree, and 1 degree alcohol. 3 degree alcohol gives the test immediately, while 2 degree takes 5 to 10 minutes, and 1 degree alcohol or primary alcohol takes a long time to give the positive test with Lucas reagent. And for phenol, we use ferric chloride as a reagent. Upon addition of ferric chloride, if we observe a violet coloration, then we confirm the presence of phenol in our given sample.
Yes, good. Next, move on quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis is three basic things: volumetric, gravimetric, and instrumental analysis. The first one is volumetric analysis. What is volumetric analysis?
The volumetric analysis is like it is a qualitative analysis, not qualitative. It is a quantitative analysis.
Yes.
Where we use a known like a known volume of the given analyte, and we titrate it against a standard solution of known concentration, and then by measuring the volume of standard solution required for the complete reaction, we can calculate the strength of the given solution. And here we are basically doing the titration of a unknown sample against a standard solution.
Yes. Volumetric is two basic things: titration and indicator. How many type of titration? How many type of indicator?
The titrations are basically of four types. The first one is the acid-base titration, where we titrate an acid against a base and vice versa. And the second one is redox titration, where we titrate an oxidant against a reductant and vice versa. The third one is complexometric titration, where we where we titrate metals ion with ligand to know the concentration of metal ion. And the fourth one is precipitation titration, where we form precipitate of a certain compound to know the end point of a reaction.
Yes, good.
And
Yes.
depending upon the type of titration, we have four type of indicator as well. The first one is acid-base indicator, which is used in acid-base reaction. It is basically a weak organic acid or organic base, which changes its color after a certain pH. For example, phenolphthalein and methyl orange and methyl red also. And the second indicator is redox indicator, which changes its oxidation state at the equivalence point, and hence show some color change. And the third one is adsorption indicator, which is used in precipitation titration. It gets adsorbed on the surface of precipitate and then show the color change at the equivalence point. And the fourth one is metal ion indicator, or also known as complex titration indicator. It is basically an indicator which forms complex with the ligand at the equivalent point, and hence show the color change. And by observing the color change, we can identify the end point of a reaction.
Yes. Next is 4 point is gravimetric analysis. Gravimetric analysis is
Sir, in gravimetric analysis, what we do is we convert our sample into a more easily measurable compound by precipitation or other way. And after once the precipitate is formed, we filter the precipitate, dry it, and then we take the weight of the precipitate. And by knowing the amount and mass of the precipitate, we can use the stoichiometric calculation and we can calculate the amount of the element present in our given compound. So basically in gravimetric analysis, we deals with solution, precipitation and weighing of the precipitate.
yes, good. Next is 5 point. 5 point is instrumental analysis. What is instrumental analysis and which type of instrument you have used in your academic career? Explain one
Sir,
by one.
sir, instrumental analysis is the analysis where we use instrument for the purpose of analyzing a sample to identify, to quantify, or to separate the sample. Here we generally the most widely used instruments are chromatography, which is a method of separation of a mixture of sample on the basis of their tendency for stationary phase or mobile phase. And the second one is UV spectroscopy, then IR spectroscopy. I have also used NMR spectroscopy and HPLC and pH metry, conductometry, and polarimetry. So these are some instruments that I have used during my BSc and MSc.
Yes, good. Next, move on the other section is your MSc project. 4 point is what are the basic application of your MSc project? How it is work?
Sir, during my MSc project, I worked on ferroptosis and bioconjugation. Sir, ferroptosis is a non-apoptotic, iron-dependent regulated cell death, which is caused mainly due to lipid peroxidation. Sir, talking about its application, so sir, some ferroptosis has a very potential therapeutic use. Some resistant cancer cell can be killed by using ferroptosis, and even in some neurodegenerative disease, for example, Alzheimer or Parkinson disease, they involve excessive ferroptosis. So in this case, ferroptosis inhibitor can act as a therapeutic drug. Also, we can use ferroptosis inhibitor in case of stroke and heart attack patient to minimize the damage caused to them. So in this way, both ferroptosis inhibitor and ferroptosis initiator can be used as a therapeutic drug in near future. And now talking about the second topic, that is bioconjugation. So, sir, bioconjugation is a chemical linking of biomolecules to probes, dyes, or nanoparticles to get specific function. For example, a biosensor. We use a biomolecule like antigen or antibody or enzyme with a dye or with some other molecule which help to detect the concerned element. Once it get bind to the concerned element, it gets some signal and it convert that signal into a easily measurable signal like change in EMF, electricity, and pH change, so that we can detect the uh, presence of the element in our sample. The other examples are the in targeted in imaging. When we diagnose some disease, we can use bioconjugation there also. We can use a biomolecule with some dye and then we can use the sample to detect and to diagnosis the disease present in the body. So these are some like potential application of bioconjugation as well.
Yes, good. Any challenges, drawback, limitation of your MSc project?
Then there is no such drawback in this project, but yes, it has some limitation, like the effective ferroptosis. To induce effective ferroptosis is quite challenging because maybe it can damage the nearby cells also, and while inhibiting the ferroptosis, it can also involve the neighboring cells and cause damage to them as well. So it has some limitation, but we can with the advancement of science, we can manage all the limitations and make the concept of ferroptosis more useful and highly applicable in therapeutics.
Yes, good. And next move on, the point 5 is PSU, NTPC. Yes, what is PSU? How many companies working as a PSU in our country, India?
Sir, PSUs are public sector undertaking. These are the companies where both private and government sector works together. And sir, there are mainly three type of PSUs: Maharatna, Navratna, and Mini Ratna. And it depends on their turnover value and the profit they gained in the next 3 years. So depending upon that, they classify the PSUs in three categories. And talking about NTPC, then NTPC is a Maharatna company since 2010.
Yes, what the basic history of NTPC? How do you feel about NTPC Maharashtra company?
Sir, NTPC is the largest, India's largest power generation company. It was established in 1975 under the Ministry of Power, and its head office is in New Delhi. And initially, initially NTPC started with coal-based and gas-based power plant, but now it is expanding in the field of renewable energy like solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy, and even in the nuclear energy. And at present, it is a Maharatna company since 2010, and it is well known for its reliable and efficient and sustainable approach towards power generation. Now, talking about its capacity, then Sir, NTPC at present has an installed capacity of 84 gigawatt, and it plans to achieve installed capacity of 140 gigawatt by 2032, with the major contribution from clean and green energies.
Yes. Next is why you want to join NTPC as a assistant chemist? Describe briefly.
Sir, I always wanted to join or become an officer in a prestigious PSU like NTPC. And sir, NTPC does not only provides me high per gram salary, but also it provides me like more respect in society, a better career growth, and a good work culture. And along with this, here my work will contribute towards the development of our nation. So for all this reason, I am keen to join NTPC as a assistant chemist.
Yes, what the main role of assistant chemist in NTPC? What are the major role?
Sir, the major role of a chemist in NTPC is to maintain the efficiency and longevity of thermal power plant by maintaining and controlling the water quality so that it can prevent the corrosion and scaling of equipments. And along with this, the chemist perform different duties like fuel analysis, water quality treatment, then ash analysis, and do some laboratory testing, conduct research on sustainable and reliable energy generation, develop and implement new and better water treatment strategies, and also do the root cause analysis of equipment failure. So these are some basic function of a chemist in NTPC.
Yes, good. Next one is, suppose if you get selected in this post, so what do you do in your department? What are the new innovative idea from your side in a NTPC department?
Sir, when I get selected in NTPC, I will majorly focus on the renewable energy part, as I feel that for a better development, we have to move to sustainable development, and like we continue to develop with the betterment of our environment. So I will try to take initiative towards the renewable energy field. I will try to bring some new ideas in that field and try to implement as soon as possible and on a large scale, so that I can contribute towards the development of my country along with the betterment of our environment also.
Yes, good. Next one point is NTPC related is water treatment. What is water treatment?
Sir, water treatment in NTPC is to make the water suitable for use in the thermal power plant.
Yes.
And the major steps involved in water treatment in NTPC is the first step is coagulation and filtration, and the second one is demineralization. Then we do the de-aeration process, where we remove the gases present in the water, and the fourth one is chemical dosing, in which we add some chemicals like phosphate, ammonia, and hydrogen in water to make it suitable for use in the plant.
Yes, thermal power plant in NTPC. How many plants working in India?
Sir, I am not exactly aware of the number of thermal power plants, uh, but I will definitely go through it and.
Yes, what the process of thermal power plant from NTPC?
Sir, the process is that first of all we treat the water to make it suitable, so that we can use it as a boiler feed water, and then once it becomes suitable to be used, we send the water in boiler, where it boiler converts the water into steam by using energy or heat generated by the combustion of fuel. The fuel can be coal, natural gas, or renewable energy also. And once the water is converted into steam, this high pressure steam is then sent to turbine, which drive the turbine, and which in turn the turbine, when the blade of the turbine rotates, it then rotates the generator and result in the formation of electricity.
Yes, good. Next one, water. Yeah, we have talk about the water. Yes, what the pH of water? Groundwater, surface water, drinking water, canal water. Yes. First of all, what is pH?
The pH is the potent of hydrogen. It is in easy words, we can say that it is the amount of or the concentration of H plus ion present in a given sample. Greater the pH of a solution, lower will be the H plus ion in that solution, and higher the H plus ion in the solution, lower will be its pH. So it is an inverse relation between pH and H plus ion concentration. If one increases, then the other one decreases. And now coming to the pH of different water. Sir, at that time I'm not able to recall all the pH, but for neutral water the pH is approx 7, and for boiler feed water the pH is approx 8.5 to 9.2, and for boiler drum water the pH is approximately 9 to 11. And from like according to me, for groundwater the pH should be somewhat acidic due to presence of gases like CO2 and other gases. But sir, I am not quite sure about this, so I will not going for this question.
Yes, surface water pH is less than 7. Groundwater pH is acid, basic. Then the canal water is pH is basic. Yes, no. RO, what about RO? River osmosis.
Sir, yes, sir. Sir, its pH should be, I think, 7 approx.
Yes, equal to 7. Was a new modern RO is involved in alkaline and copper zinc to pH value is more than 7, something around 7 to 8. Yes, no, basic.
What, sir?
7 to 8. Presently, new modern RO coming in the market. Yes, na.
Yes, sir.
Alkaline
Which use
RO. Yes, alkaline
as
RO, copper zinc RO. So involvement copper and these alkaline, so pH is more than 7. Basic. Yeah, next one is the chemistry. Yes, whole chemistry. So what are the basic application of chemistry?
sir, chemistry deals with the element present in the world and all the molecules or compound that can be formed with those elements that we have at this time. Like at this time we have 108 elements. So chemistry is a science which deals with not only those 118 elements but also the molecules and compounds formed with those elements are also studied in chemistry. Sir, in general words, we can say that like approximately 99% thing around us is the chemistry. Whether you see the wood or the cement of the wall, the color of the wall, all are comes under chemistry. So yes, sir, this is the basic of chemistry that everywhere we see, we can see molecules and atoms which we studied in chemistry.
Yes, suppose if you get selected in this post, so how will you contribute your whole chemistry knowledge in your department? Any new innovative idea, new skills, so you will contribute in your department. Any point, 4, 5 new point.
Sir, during my MSc project, as I worked on ferroptosis and bioconjugation, sir, I use my concept of bioconjugation in the development of biosensor, which can help us to ensure the compliance with the CPCB guideline and the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change rules and regulation. And also, uh, my knowledge in ferroptosis has taught me about the oxidative stress and cellular damage due to reactive oxygen species, which is quite similar with the effect of certain pollutants like particulate matters and some other heavy metals. So I can also use this concept to analyze the pollutant behavior we are emitting in atmosphere through our thermal power plant, and I can give some alternative, and I can try to choose some alternative for the element or for the compound we are using which cause a high pollution in our environment. So in this way, I can use my knowledge of ferroptosis and bioconjugation in a thermal power plant.